G'day guys, welcome back to the channel again, and welcome back to part 2 of installing the mini tubs on the 57 Chevy. So those of you that watched the last episode will remember that we got the boot floor all cut out. We did like a bit of a clean up and we fitted the new boot floor in just loosely, temporarily, and I basically got everything prepped and ready to start cutting the tubs. So in this episode, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be cutting out the old tubs and mocking up with the new tubs, and hopefully if all goes well, we'll be able to start tacking them in place. So hope you enjoy the video, and let's get straight into it.
Make it look different.
Yeah.
Sometime later.
Yeah, sometime later. All right, guys. So as you see, we've got the tub, the old tub cut out, played around, and got the new tub in there and got it mocked up together with the floor. It's not fitting too badly. At first, I sort of saw a lot of gaps around here, and I sort of thought, oh, is this thing going to fit? But no, I've got it all clamped up, and it's all fitting. As you can see, I've got my clecos in. And it's really not looking too bad. I'm feeling fairly optimistic myself. I've never actually done an actual mini tub like, I mean, I mini tubbed the, the coupe, but that was sort of cutting and moving the original tub and then adding a strip of metal, whereas this one is actually just cutting up the old tub altogether and putting a new one in, and having to match it to a totally different floor. So I mean, it's not too difficult, but it's just slightly different scenario. If we come around and have a look at the front, so as you can see, it's not fitting up too badly. At first, when I saw this sort of going off on an angle, I sort of thought, oh, surely is that meant to be like that? But when I looked underneath, I saw the original lap where the factory tub joined, the outer tub underneath, and it was following the same course. So I realised that it's meant to be like that, and then I just continued to work with it. And the other thing that was fairly handy, because obviously when you cut the old tub out, this floor pan is actually sticking in a fair bit more, at least more than 3 inches. So what I did is I just taped a Sharpie to the side of the wood, piece of 3-inch wood, and then just ran it round the side of the old tub. Well, I didn't run it right round there, I just ran it down to here and then put a straight line across, and that worked out almost perfectly. I've obviously, you would have seen in the time lapse, but I actually left about 20 mil or more over the other side of the line, and then I just basically folded over the hammer and the dolly and the clamps, and then that gave me a surface to plug weld or spot weld this to. So that worked out pretty good, really. So yeah, she's onwards and upwards, and next we'll jump on to the other one and I'll just start hacking it out. But I've kind of like, when you do something once and you learn the way to do it and not do it. So what I learnt with doing this one is, when I was cutting the old tub out, I was kind of guessing a little bit, like approximate, and what I learnt after I'd cut it out is that if we jump under here, we can see, well, it's not very easy to see, but right up here there's a body seam. I don't know if you can see it right there where my finger is. There's a body seam. So what I've done is I've laid some painter's tape along the edge of it, and that's pretty much good enough to use as a guide to cut your tub. So you paint its tape right on the edge, the inside edge of that lip, or that where it's lapped, and then just cut along the edge of it. You could cut right on the edge of the tape, or you could cut 5 mil off the tape and then come back and trim it as you need later on. And yeah, it just makes the job a lot easier, not really guessing. So that's what I'm going to do on the next one. I'll just lay my tape, cut along the edge of it, and boom, job done. So alright, so I'm going to jump straight into it and cut that out. Oh, just one more thing, just thought I'd mention. So where the boot hinge mounts to the old tub, I just basically cut straight along the seam. It's actually lapped, so there was a piece of steel lapped over this, and then I just cut along it, because knowing that I'm going to be basically, a lot of this is excess, because we've got to trim it down basically and make it fit up under there. So we don't need a lot of that material, but we want to use that piece. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll drill out the spot welds of that, trim some of that excess off, and we'll probably have to drill some holes, and then we'll put it up against that, and then we'll plug weld it into place. So what I've done is basically prepped the inner surfaces and coated them both with weld-through primer, and I've left the outer surface bare metal, both on top and also underneath in the wheel well, because what we're planning on doing is using a spot welder. If we can get it into these areas, I'm really not too optimistic about getting it up into there, but we'll have to wait and see. And then we'll go ahead and weld the floor pan in as well. So one thing I wanted to mention though is that when I described earlier about using tape measure as a guide, it's okay. On this side it worked out fine. Everything's all sort of like fitting up nice. However, on the other side, this being the driver's side, driver's side, I ended up with too much material showing on this bottom part. It just tapers off as it goes up. So I'm not sure why. I'll play around with it a little bit more. I've either cut that too much or I've cut the floor pan in too much. But either way, it's not a big deal. If there's not enough material to spot weld together, I'll just step weld that with a MIG. But all the rest of it is all lining up nice. So, and what we're going to attempt to weld it with is a new toy. Yep, I finally bit the bullet and bought a spot welder. So, been encouraged by a few people. Graham of XA Coupe Guy of being one of them, saying how great they are. So this actually came up purely by accident. A friend of a friend was down here, and yeah, he just mentioned that he had this spot welder that he'd bought for a project, and run into some issues with 3-phase power supply, so he couldn't use it. So yeah, we checked it out and it works perfectly fine. I don't know much about spot welders. Apparently this G-Spot is a French machine, so it's got all the water cooling and everything else. It's got 3 different guns. You can see the size of the jaws on that one, but then you look at that one, there's a whole selection. That's a real big ass gun, that one. That's probably the wrong term. It's not a gun, right? It's a thing that goes on a spot welder. So it's a, you know, a hoodaki. So very cool. Can't wait to get it into action. So we'll try that first on the old girl, and we'll see how she goes. So I think what I'll do now is have a quick look inside. They look pretty good. I'm happy with how they're turning out. I mean, they're going to give like excellent wheel clearance. I mean, these tubs are actually slightly bigger than the ones on my coupe, so I'll be able to fit some pretty big wheels on the back of this thing, and it's going to look factory. That's the beauty of this this particular kit. It's going to look factory. So I highly recommend anyone thinking of tubbing a Tri-5 Chevy, go ahead and get yourselves some of these tubs and the boot floor pan, so you'll be able to come up, you know, end up with a fairly factory looking job. So all right guys, so I'm going to cut the video here. I just want to keep these episodes on the mini tub, you know, not too long, so there's probably going to be a part 3, maybe a part 4. We'll see how we go. So I hope you're enjoying it, and please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate all you guys that are subscribing and watching the channel. I hope that that some of the stuff is interesting to you guys, and if you've got any suggestions for what you'd like to see as far as content, or what you'd like to see me do on these cars, please by all means leave your comments and let us know. I'm open to all suggestions, and I'm pretty easily persuaded, so go ahead and leave your comments, and thanks again for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.